Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sammy Ketchum, and welcome back to Sammy Ketchum TCG. Today, I'm going to be bringing you a deck profile of Garchomp Garchomp GX with Malamar. Alright, I've seen a lot of deck profiles on Unified Minds post-Worlds, not post-Worlds, but Worlds deck profiles. I've seen them, I'm actually seeing them on Giratina Malamar. I've seen them on Blacephalon, I've seen them on Pikarom, but even still, I have my own builds, my own play style, the things that I would like to, put in the deck, have in the deck. I'm going to give you guys my take on the deck. So that's what I'm going to do here. It's actually been a while since I've done a video. And the reason why I haven't done a video in so long is because I've been testing. I've been testing for the Worlds / DC Open format. I've been testing Giratina Malamar. I've been testing Pikarom, Blacephalon GX, Green's Reshizard. So yeah, I've been testing a lot, and what I found is that in my testing is that certain decks basically have been so powerful that it has literally basically just kind of blocked me from doing the other decks because, I really haven't seen some of the other decks as being viable as a threat to the main decks that I was testing. So, but I'm going to do one on Giratina Malamar today, because I think it really is a threat, and it really is a great deck to play for the World / DC Open format. So let's jump into it. Alright. We're going to start off with 2 copies of Garchomp Giratina GX. Garchomp Giratina GX has 270 HP. It is a Dragon-type Pokemon, which is very good. It's going to be hard to knock out. Its first attack, linear attack. You can basically choose one of your opponent's Pokemon and do 40 damage to it. So, yeah, you snipe. So, that attack is really good because you really don't have healing options in this format. Well, actually you do, but there's only a few decks that would actually play healing options. So with that in mind, you sit there and you do linear attack. You can do 40 to a Pikarom or 40 to a Mew Mew or whatever, and then, and then on the next turn, you could come back and do a bigger attack. Well, let's get to that bigger attack. Calamity Slash or Calamitous Slash. It does 160 for a Psychic, a Fighting, and a Colorless. Alright. If your opponent's Pokemon already has damage on it, this attack does 80 more damage. So, going back to that linear attack, if that Pokemon that has 40 damage on it from the linear attack becomes active, or if you custom catcher it up, then you can basically go Calamitous Slash for 240 damage. So that instantly knocks out a Pikarom. You know what I'm saying? That can instantly knock out a lot of tag team Pokemon. This is really good. This deck is built around the Calamitous Slash attack, which is very good. This deck is built around it. That's what this deck is going to be made for. Also, the GX attack, GG End. I love that name. GG. Alright, for a fighting psychic. I think it's too funny. No. Psychic fighting. Psychic fighting. You know, psychic fighting. Alright. Basically what this does is that you can remove or discard one of your opponent's Pokemon in play and send them to the discard pile with all the energies attached and everything. If you have 3 extra fighting energy on this Pokemon, which you probably won't, you know, you can discard 2 of those Pokemon. I mean, you could basically get rid of a really big threat with a lot of energies on it with this GGN GX attack. It's not the ideal GX attack of this deck, but in a pinch, that GX attack could really help you. We have ourselves 1 copy of Espeon and Deoxys GX. It has 260 HP. You know, it is psychic, so it's weak to psychic. So you have to be careful if you're facing a psychic. If you're going up against a psychic deck, if you have this out. Its attack is psychic, colorless. It's 10 base, and this attack does 30 more damage for each psychic Pokemon on your bench, which isn't bad. I think it's on your bench or in play. Well, it's one of them, but we're really not going to use that attack in this deck. We're going to use the GX attack, Cross Division GX. This is the GX attack you want to use in this deck. Basically, it is a psychic, colorless. It says put 10 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. So you can pile them up on one Pokemon, you can spread them out. And the reason why this is good is because this sets up Calamitous Slash. So if you do this first and spread damage all across your opponent's board, and then you go Calamitous Slash with Giratina Garchomp, you can basically keep Calamitous Slashing throughout the whole entire game and just knock out everything. You know what I'm saying? Either with Giratina Garchomp or with Mew, which we're going to get to in a minute. So, alright, we have ourselves 1 copy of Mewtwo and Mew GX, better known as Mew. Alright, it has 270 HP. And this card is basically in here for its perfection ability. Alright, it can copy the attacks of any GX or EX Pokemon on your bench or in the discard pile. So that is really good. So it can copy the attacks of Giratina Garchomp. It can also copy the attacks of Espeon and Deoxys. Alright, so, you know what I'm saying? This is really, really good in this deck. It's also really, really good in its own type of deck. Its GX attack does 200 damage. Psychic, colorless. If you have 1 extra energy attached to this card, you can heal all the damage from all your Pokemon. So that is actually really good too, if you wanted to use that. You know. But that perfection ability is just really good. It's so good, you have to include it in here. We have ourselves 2 copies of Dedenne. Dedenne is basically in here for its ability. Did a change. You sit there, you play it from your hand, discard all the cards from your hand, and draw 6 cards. Basically, what you normally do is you use up most of the cards in your hand. All right, or as much as you can, and then you discard the ones, discard the rest, and you draw 6 cards. This is great draw power. Most of the decks that I've seen online have only been playing one. One Dedenne. In my testing, I found that having 2 Dedenne is so good. It is so good, especially to get more draw power out of the Giratina Malamar deck, because there are just some turns where you really just need to just draw more cards. You need to find more cards. You need to find supporters. You need to find items. You need to find just anything. And honestly, I have to tell you, Giratina and Garchomp, it takes a little while to set up. It takes a hot minute. It's not the fastest deck to set up. So yeah, you need Dedennes to help you out with that. I don't want to really mention Dedenne's attacks or anything like that, because we're not really using them in this deck. We don't have electric energies for them, so I'm not really going to mention them. All right, we have ourselves a 3-3 line, a 3-3 line of Malamar. Malamar is basically in here for its ability, Psychic Recharge. Once during your turn, you can take a Psychic Energy from your discard pile and attach them to one of your bench Pokemon. This is very good. This is how you are going to get all of your Pokemon powered up. Your Giratina, Garchomp, your Mew Mew, your Espeon Deoxys. Even though I don't think you'll have Espeon Deoxys out, you're probably just going to have Mew Mew copy its attacks. But this is how you're going to power up your Pokemon and keep them going. This is also how you're going to get Baby Giratina powered up, which we're going to mention as of right now. Have ourselves 2 copies of Baby Giratina. We call it Baby Giratina because we have the Giratina Garchomp. It's in here for its ability, Distortion Door. If this is in your discard pile, you can put it on your bench and put 2 damage counters on 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. Alright. Also, its attack is also really good as a non-GX attacker. Probably the best non-GX attacker in the game right now. Psychic Colorless, it does 130. And then you do put 4 damage counters on one of your Pokemon. Most of the time you're going to be putting it on himself because, he's probably going to get knocked out after he attacks. The best thing about Giratina is that if he gets knocked out, he goes to the discard pile. If he goes to the discard pile and you have that open bench space, you can bring him right back from the discard pile, put 2 more damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon, and power him up again and get him out attacking. This is such a good card. It's such a great strategy, especially for this deck. We have ourselves 2 copies of Jirachi. Honestly, in my opinion, I think you only need 2 in here. You don't need them, as much. You don't need like a flood of Jirachis, on the bench. You really don't. And, you really don't. It's in here for its ability, Stellar Wish. You look at the top, 5 cards, and you could choose a trainer card from them and put it in your hand. This is so good to get a trainer card. You can get Lily, You can get Cynthia. You can get Erica's Hospitality. You can get Mysterious Treasure, Cherish Ball, any of your trainers or items, or even stadiums, you can get from Stellar Wish, which is very good for this deck. You know, I mean, and that's why it's in here. You know, we have ourselves 4 copies of Lily. Lily is basically good on the first turn. You can basically draw up to 8 cards. So you mill your hand down as much as you can, use up what you got, then you play Lily, draw up to 8. First turn is very good. All these other copies, they're okay. You know, mid to late game, maybe. You know, they could be discard fodder or whatever. But it's really in here for that first turn, first go. Cynthia, 3 Cynthia. Self-explanatory. Shuffle your hand in, draw 6. Self-explanatory, I really don't have to explain that. 1 copy of Erica's Hospitality. I really actually want to add 2. Actually, I might take out a Cynthia and add in another Erica, because Erica is actually really good, because your opponent is going to fill up their bench. They're going to have a bench. Every single deck basically in this format is going to have a bench. And it's going to make it's making this card a great draw card. If you have 4 or less cards in your hand, you can draw up to the number of your opponent's Pokemon in play. So if they have 5 Pokemon in play, you draw 5 extra cards on top of the 4 or less you already have. Or if they have 6, you draw 6. You know, which is very, very good. It's actually really good, especially if you don't want to discard cards from your hand, or if you don't want to shuffle your hand back in. You know, this is really, really good. Alright? Do that. Like that. We have ourselves 4 copies of Mysterious Treasure. Mysterious Treasure, self-explanatory. Discard a card from your hand, and you can search your deck for a Psychic or a Dragon-type Pokemon and add them to your hand. All of the Pokemon, except for 1 card in this deck, can be searched out with Mysterious Treasure. You can search out Giratina Garchomp. You can search out Malamars. You can search out Mew Mew. You know what I'm saying? The only card this cannot search out is Jirachi. It can search out every other Pokemon in this deck. It's very good. We have ourselves 4 copies of Custom Catcher. Custom Catcher basically says on the first part is you can draw up to, if you play 1 from your hand, you can draw up to 3 cards. You know, if your hand is like really low, you know. And the second part is you could play 2 of them, and you can basically switch your opponent's active Pokemon with one of their bench Pokemon. So it's basically a catcher. I mean, it is a catcher. You know what I'm saying? So if you play 2. So, and you can do this twice. You know, twice, 2 times. Boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? Like, you go 1, and then, let's say the next turn, you get 2 more, and like, okay, boom. You know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. You know, this is really good. This is going to be your... It's not a Guzma because you don't switch out. But bringing up your opponent's Pokemon is very, very good. So we got to have them in this deck. And the reason why we got to have them is because, let's say you linear attack one of your opponent's Pokemon, or you use Baby Giratina to damage Pokemon on the bench. You can Custom Catcher, play 2, bring up one of those Pokemon with damage on it, and then go Calamitous Slash for 240 damage and knock it out. So that is a combo that is really good. We have ourselves 4 copies of Switch. In my testing, I value Switch in this deck so high. I value this card so high. So high. For the simple fact that, for one, you play Jirachis in this deck. So you gotta switch out Jirachis or switch them into the active. So you gotta use switches for Jirachis. Alright? You also need switches to switch out your active. So you can possibly power it up, bring it back out and attack with it. Switches are too good not to play 4 of in this deck. I've seen decks that only play with 2 or 3 in this deck, and I'm just like, nah, you play the maximum. Play the maximum. You go 4. You go all in. You know, give your chance the best option to bring your Pokemon back to the bench, especially if your Pokemon has damage on it. You know, and you don't want it to get knocked out the next turn. You know, I mean, you know, that's really good too, because, you know, there's not a lot of switching options. You know, there's not a lot of switching options, and there's not a lot of catcher options in the format. You only can do custom catcher twice. So if you switch your damaged Pokemon to the bench, most likely it's going to basically stay there and not going to be a target for an attack. You know, so this 4 switches is very, very good in here. We have ourselves 3 copies of Cherish Ball. This is different than what I've seen in other builds, and like all the other builds I've seen, nobody is playing Cherish Ball in the deck. I mean, don't get me wrong, I get why, because you can basically search out all the other Pokemon with Mysterious Treasure. But this is my thinking. I'm going to use Cherish Ball to search out my GXs. Then I'll have Mysterious Treasure pick up the slack and get all the other, you know, non-GX Pokemon out of my deck, like Malamar, like, you know what I'm saying, like the Giratinas, or, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'll have Mysterious Treasure pick up the Malamars and stuff, you know. And then, you know, I'll have Pokemon Communication get, Pokemon Communication get the, Jirachis. Pokemon Communications will find the Jirachis. Also, this can also find the Dedenne GX. This can help you search for the Dennes. This can help you get Mew Mew, you know, Garchomp Giratina, you know. So, I use these to find the GXs, use Mysterious Treasures to pull out the other Psychic Pokemon, and then have Pokemon Communication pick up the other ones. Just more added consistency to help me get what I need. Have ourselves 3 Spell Tag. These are going to go on your Psychic Pokemon. You can put it on your Mew Mew, or you can put it on your Giratinas, your baby Giratinas. If that Pokemon is knocked out, you can place 4 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. You know, this works really well with Calamitous Slash. Or I'll put 4 damage counters on one of your Pokemon, or spread them out. You know, the next turn, Calamitous Slash, knock it out. You know, what have you. We have ourselves 2 copies of a skateboard. These are in here for Jirachis. You put them on Jirachi and gives it basically free retreat because it has 1 retreat cost. And it can also retreat while it's asleep or paralyzed. And Jirachi's ability, Stellar Wish, puts it to sleep. So you can basically use this and retreat while it's asleep, bring out your Giratina Garchomp or your Mew Mew and attack. You know, which is very, very good. This is also clutch if you want to attach this to one of your other Pokemon. Let's say you're facing down a Pikarom deck with Choo Choo in it, and they sit there and they paralyze you. Alright? You can attach this to your active Pokemon, maybe like a Giratina or even a Mew Mew, and you can basically retreat it while it's paralyzed. If it comes down to that extreme. You know, I played a game where I once did that, where I once retreated it, and then had a switch. When I once retreated it, did double Malamar, double Psychic Recharge back onto it. Played a switch, switched it back into the active, and took a 3-prize knockout on a Pikarom. Or, not, was it Pikarom? No, it wasn't Pikarom, it was Choo Choo. And knocked out the Choo Choo and got 3 prizes, which was very good. You know, which actually gave me the game. So, you know, this is very, very good in here. Have ourselves 2 copies of Pokemon Communication. I've seen builds where they played 4 copies of Pokemon Communication because they wanted to get out their basic Pokemon. You know, I went down to 2 Pokemon Communication because I have Mysterious Treasure that can search out my basic Pokemon or Malamars and things like that. I'm using Mysterious Treasure as that. These are just in here just to kind of, you know, to give you a little extra help to find Jirachis. They even find them as well. So, you know, it's added support. You basically take one Pokemon in your hand and swap it out with one in your deck. Add it to your hand. Simple. We have ourselves 2 copies of Reset Stamp. What Reset Stamp does is you can shuffle your opponent's hand into their deck, and they draw cards equal to the prizes that they have. If they have 6 prizes, they draw 6. If they have 5, they draw 5. If they have 4, 3, 2, 1, they draw that many. You know what I'm saying? You really want to use this in the late game, or right when they basically take 3 prizes, or if they're at 2 prizes. You basically say, oh, I'm going to play Reset Stamp. I'm going to reset Stamp you to 2. And they shuffle their hand in and they draw 2 cards. Or they shuffle their hand in and they draw 3 cards. This is so good. I've seen a lot of builds that only play 1 Reset Stamp. The reason why I'm playing 2 is because sometimes after the first Reset Stamp, let's say you Reset Stamp them to 2 or 3 or 1 or whatever. After the first Reset Stamp, if you're still playing the game, if there's still a game, if you're still having turns or whatever, and let's say they draw out of the Reset Stamp. Let's say you Reset Stamp them to 2, and they draw 2 cards, and then they draw their card for their turn. If they somehow keep getting cards in their hand, if they keep getting momentum, after that, the second Reset Stamp comes in. This is where the second one comes in. It's like, oh, I Reset Stamped you before, but now I'm going to Reset Stamp you again and hinder you even more now, now that the game is going on. Now that the game is still going on, you know, not only am I going to reset stamp you, but, you know, I'm going to still try to get an advantage off of that. Boom. Put you down to like 1 card or 2 cards, and hopefully you won't have anything else to play. You know, if the first one doesn't get them, the second one will. That's my thinking, and it is so good. All right, we have ourselves 3 copies of Viridian Forest. Viridian Forest is really good in here to help you find an energy within your deck. This deck doesn't play many energies, you know. So you sit here, you discard a card from your hand, and you search your deck for an energy card and add it to your hand. With this, you can discard a psychic energy to the discard pile. If you discard a psychic energy, boom, there goes your psychic recharge. All right. You can discard a Garchomp Giratina. You can discard Espeon and Deoxys. The reason why you want to discard Espeon and Deoxys and those is so you can basically use Mew's ability, and basically attack with their attacks from the discard pile. So you can use this as a discard fodder for that, you know, and also get an energy. This also helps you get the fighting energy in your deck, because we don't play that many fighting energy. You know, so, you know, this is so good, and it's great consistency for this deck to find your energies. Oh, and it's also a stadium counter. So if your opponent has power plant, you can knock off their power plant with Viridian Forest. You know what I'm saying? Or you can knock off their Lysander's Labs with Viridian Forest. So it's a stadium counter as well, you know. Then we have ourselves 6 psychic energy and 3 fighting energy. You know, self-explanatory. These are for your Pokemon to attack with. You know, not, you know, simple. You know, it's not hard. All right, back up. All right, guys. Giratina Malamar is a great deck. Matchup-wise, I say it's probably one of the best decks to play for the Open and for Worlds. You know, against, I think the only real hard matchup really is Blacephalon. Blacephalon is a hard matchup because I don't think it can't skip the Beast Ring turn. You can't skip the Beast Ring turn. So it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard going against Blacephalon. It's favored against Pikarom because you can just sit there and just damage them and then Calamitous Slash, you know. So it's pretty favored against Pikarom. Against Reshizard, you know, I can see it doing pretty well against Reshizard. You know, so yeah, Giratina Malamar is a great card. It's a great strategy. You know, really can't go wrong with it. So yeah, I mean, you know, if you like it, try it out. Like, comment, subscribe. And as always, take care of yourself and each other. Thank you.